Since the GFC, there's been a war of words happening between Christopher Joy, now a columnist for the Australian Financial Review, and Professor Keane. Now, Professor Keane is known for being possibly Australia's biggest doomsayer. He's known for predicting a 40% property crash since the GFC. Now, some of you may remember he took on a bet with Rory Robertson at the time with Macquarie Bank. Now, he lost that bet based on his predictions, and he had to walk from Canberra to Mount Kosciuszko. Nonetheless, let's have a look at some of these comments made recently by Professor Keane. At this point, 2 years after house prices peaked in the US, prices were down by just over 20%. Instead, Australian prices are down by just over 9%, which is indistinguishable from the Japanese fall of just under 8.9% at the same point in its house price deflation. So effectively what Professor Keane is saying is that 2 years after the US property market peaked, they were down negative 20%. And he's making that comparison with the Australian market, but in my view, there's not much of a comparison. Therefore, he's now making a comparison to the Japanese market. Have a look at these comments nonetheless. I'm emphatic that there is a debt-driven bubble, and the only reason it hasn't deflated is because debt levels have remained high. Now, it's precisely that comment that reignited the war of words between these two economic rivals. Have a look at this chart. Now, the monthly housing credit growth chart clearly indicates that it was in March of 2010 that housing credit actually peaked. And since the start of the year, January 2012, you can see a steady decline there all the way to this month. Now, when housing credit is on the decline, it typically is a lagging indicator that suggests we may see a further housing correction. But there's no data there to suggest that the housing Hulk Hogan is just around the corner, ready to smash the sector. So if Professor Keane is willing to continue to take on bets with his peers, he may well clock up more miles than a family station wagon. I'm Iggy Damiani. I'll see you next week.